Hey besties, it's Tori and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing the mid-year book tag. I did this video last year and I thought that we would do it again, do a little cutie sit down recommendation type of video, answer a bunch of the mid-year questions. Bestie Des and Sarah did this on their podcast recently and I was like, oh my gosh, I remember doing that last year, let's do it again. So we're just going to be going through all of the questions. I think there's between like 10 and 15. And I'm just gonna let you know what books I've loved so far this year, some of my favorite new authors, recommendations, all that kind of stuff. So with all that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my face. Check out all my socials down below, including my Goodreads and my Amazon book wish list. And let's get into the 2024 mid-year book tag. All right, our very first question is best book you've read so far this year. And for me, that is by far Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This is the first book in the Magnolia Parks series. The really crazy thing about this is I read this book for the first time last year in 2023 and I did not like it. I was not a fan at all, and then I decided to give it another try this year and I am now absolutely in love with this series. It actually is like my whole entire personality and I couldn't recommend it enough. This is kind of Gossip Girl vibes a little bit. High society London. There's a lot of toxic friendships and relationships, lots of drama, and it honestly gives me just like character study vibe. You're really just going along with these characters from day-to-day life, and the quotes in here are literally beautiful. I love this book. I tabbed it so much, and this is probably one of my favorites in the entire series. This one and one that I'm going to talk about later, but I love this series so much. I have a new found addiction and love for Jessa and her writing, and just this series is everything to me. So I love this so much and I couldn't recommend it enough. Question number 2 is best sequel you have read so far this year, and for me that was Taming 7. This is the 5th book in the Boys of Tommen series. I literally loved this book. I ate it up. I think I read this in less than 24 hours and it's literally like a 500-page book. I just loved this so much. Basically, the Boys of Tommen series is once again kind of character study-esque, and it follows these teenagers who live in the UK, and the guys for the most part are all rugby players, and each book's follow different characters. So the first 2 follow Johnny and Shannon, the second 2 follow Joey and Aoife, and then this one is Gibbsy and Claire. And I literally loved this so much. This is a glimpse into what happens after the first 4 books, because the first 4 books, some of the timelines cross each other, and you kind of get to see how everyone's doing after their books, and the characters and the friendship is just amazing. The quotes in here are literally insane. I cannot wait to reread this book because it was just beautiful. I literally loved it so much. I don't think I could recommend this enough. So I highly recommend Boys of Tommen and Taming 7 specifically. I just, for how many series I've read this year, and the fact that this one just took the cake for my favorite sequel is insane. I'm not surprised, but I'm very happy about it. Question number 3 is new release you have not read yet but you really want to. For me, that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This has been on my TBR a couple of times I believe this year and I just haven't gotten into it yet. I've actually never read Ali Hazelwood before. I know that is absolutely shocking to a lot of people, but this one is like an Omega-verse romance, so it's about like vampires and werewolves. I don't know a whole lot about it and I just prefer going into my books without knowing a lot of details, but I truly am so excited to read this. I've heard so many mixed things. I'm intrigued to see what my own opinion is. I definitely want to get to it at some point this year. I just haven't picked it up yet, but I'm very, very excited to, and I'm intrigued to see what my opinion on it is going to be, since there's some very big controversy around this book. Question number 4 is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. For me, that is Reckless by Lauren Roberts. Lauren Roberts wrote the Powerless book and then the Powerful novella, and Reckless is the second novel in the series. This series is so good so far. I actually had the absolute honor of meeting Lauren a couple of months ago, and she's the sweetest soul. I'm so proud of her and how far she's come, and I'm so beyond excited for this second release. Powerless follows Peyton and Kai. Peyton is an ordinary and Kai is I actually don't remember. I think it's elites. So ordinaries basically have absolutely no magic and elites have like magic and powerful abilities. So within the like kingdom that they live in, all ordinaries are supposed to be killed, and Kai is supposed to be the person who actually kills all ordinaries. He is the enforcer. He's also the prince. And basically Peyton ends up helping Kai with something, and she gets picked by her local community to go into the purging trials. These trials are kind of like Hunger Games a little bit. You're supposed to use your powers to fight people to the death, and your goal is to make it all the way through the trials and be the winner. So you just kind of follow their journey throughout these trials and getting to know each other. The banter and the quotes are so good. I have heard a few people complain that this series is very similar to Hunger Games and also the Red Queen series. Lauren has been very transparent that those are actually two series that she got some inspiration from, but I love those books so much. I've reread Powerless twice already. Powerful was a beautiful novella, and I cannot wait to see what happens when we get into Reckless. It comes out, I believe, July 2nd, and I am so stoked to have that book in my hands. I think it is going to be just absolutely amazing. So that book I'm very, very, very excited to read. Our next question is biggest surprise read. For me, that was The Naturals, not just the specific book, but the entire series. So this series is YA mystery, and basically it's not that I didn't think I was going to like the books, because I thought I was going to like them, but I didn't think that I was going to love the series as much as I ended up actually loving it. So this series follows 5 naturals. Naturals are basically these teenagers with special abilities, and they basically all have these abilities based on trauma from their past. So you learn about their past a lot throughout the series, but they basically are recruited by the FBI to help solve cold cases, and each of the 5 have different special abilities. So you have 2 profilers, a lie detector, you have one that's really good at numbers and stats and facts, and then you have one that can read people's emotions. And it is so good. These are so beyond bingeable. I literally finished the whole series in just a couple of weeks. I loved it so much. I highly recommend. They're super quick and easy. There is some love triangle in there, which I love so much. The friendship and found family is amazing. I honestly was caught so off guard by all of the different twists and turns and the actual surprises that happen throughout this. I think that Jennifer Lynn Barnes did an amazing job with the series, and I'm so sad that I finished the whole thing because I truly, truly enjoyed it. Next question is new favorite author. So this author is not technically new, but she is new to me, and that would be Abby Jimenez. I have read 2 of her books so far this year, and I have so many more by her that I cannot wait to get into. But I read Yours Truly and then also Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. She is an amazing writer. I love her writing style so much. She's so good at just beautiful quotes and amazing imagery and really helping you understand and feel for these characters. She did such an amazing job. This book specifically has anxiety representation, which I think she did so good. And then Just for the Summer, I related to the female main character on another level, so I highly recommend trying out Abby Jimenez if you have not already. She has 2 interconnected standalone series, so you don't have to read the ones prior, but it does kind of all connect in the end. Like, you see the previous characters pop up throughout the books, and I cannot wait to continue reading more by her because the 2 books I have read by her have been very, very amazing, highly rated books by me. So I cannot wait to continue reading her stories and just see what else she can do. The next question is newest fictional crush. So that would be Julian Hates and also BJ from the Magnolia Parks / Daisy Hates universe. So Julian is the main character, or one of the main characters in the Daisy Hates books, and then BJ is one of the main characters in the Magnolia Parks books. They kind of like intertwine and cross-reference. Basically, the first Magnolia Parks book takes place during the same time as the first Daisy Hates, and then the second Magnolia Parks takes place during the same time as this book, and so on and so forth. So the Magnolia Parks and BJ books are finished, but they are continuing the Daisy Hates books. I literally love Julian Hates with my whole entire soul. That man has gone through so much, and he is just perfection. his like chapters in this book are insane. I literally love him so much. I tabbed the F out of this book. I'm so obsessed with him. Oh my god, the way that he loves is literally insane, and he's supposed to be like this like cold-hearted mafia gang lord, and when that man is down bad, he is just down bad. And I'm obsessed with him, and I'm also obsessed with BJ, obviously, but I already spoke on that book a little bit. So BJ and Julian are my two most beloved book boyfriends. Cannot top them. Love them with my whole entire soul. Our next question is book that made you cry. I actually have two for this category. One of them is a reread, and that was Happy Place by Emily Henry. This has easily become my top favorite romance book of all time, if not favorite book of all time, specifically for a standalone, obviously not series. But I just connect to Harriet on another level. Like, if you put Harriet from this book and then the female main character from Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez and you combine them, that is literally me. In a nutshell, those two characters combined are me. And I just connect to Harriet, and I love this. The quotes are beautiful. I literally reread this book this year, obviously, and I sobbed like a baby, even though I know exactly what was coming. The quotes are beautiful. Emily Henry truly knew what she was doing with this book. I love this book with my whole entire soul. I'm so emotionally attached to this book and these characters, it's not even funny. Basically, Happy Place is about these two characters, and they used to be engaged and they broke off their engagement, but every year they go on a vacation with their friend group, and they go on this trip and they lie to all their friends and fake that they are still engaged to each other. So it is like fake dating. You get past and present timeline. The quotes are amazing. It's just so good. I cannot explain it enough. You get so many cute little friendships, and you just learn so much about how the characters ended up where they are and why they aren't together. And just this book, I cannot recommend it enough for the girlies in their 20s, because I feel like anyone in their 20s needs to read this book, because it truly just shows you how friendships can drift apart, how relationships can fall apart, how you can have like a midlife crisis and you don't know what you want to do with your life. Like, it's so good. I highly recommend. I will probably continue to reread this book every year for the rest of my life because I truly love it that much. The second book that made me sob like a little baby was Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 6th book in the Throne of Glass series. This is part of the tandem read, so you basically read Empire of Storms and Tower of Dawn at the same time, and you flip back and forth between certain chapters. This book was so beyond emotional, and it actually broke my heart. I do have a full spoiler reading vlog on my tandem read if you want to go check that out. I believe it was from like March or so a couple months back, but I loved this so much. I love this series and these characters. Honestly, Throne of Glass series completely changed the way I look at fantasy books and fantasy series, because the series starts in a completely different timeline and storyline, and then it completely takes a whole 180, but everything just connects and intertwines, and things from the first book are re-brought up in this book. And the way that Sarah J. Maas's brain works is just insane to me, and she did a phenomenal job on this series. One of my all-time favorite series ever. I literally have 2 quotes for the series because I love it that much. I highly recommend, and I just honestly go in so blind. I recommend reading Assassin's Blade first, personal opinion, and I'm going to stick by that opinion. But this book just did things to my soul, and I loved every second of reading this series this year. Our next question is book that made you happy. For me, that was 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This book is literally just kicking your feet, giggling, screaming, crying, throwing up. This book is perfection. I believe I gave it 4.5 stars. I loved it so much. I literally speed read this like a little demon child. I think I finished it in like 1 or 2 sittings. I was so obsessed with it. It's just a cutesy little romance. Please check grief trigger warnings for this book, because it does heavily touch on grief, and it can be a little bit traumatizing for some people if you know you're going through a rough time, or if you have experience with a lot of grief. But this book is beautiful. This basically follows Clementine, and her aunt were very, very close, and unfortunately her aunt passes away. So when her aunt passes away, her aunt's apartment is passed down to Clementine and she moves into it, and her aunt has always told her that there are some magical elements about this apartment, and Clementine doesn't exactly believe her until she's living in the apartment and some magic happens to her. I don't want to say too much about this, but I love this book so much and I highly recommend. It's just so cute and warm and fuzzy, and honestly this is just a perfect summer or fall read in my opinion. Highly recommend picking this up if you have not already, and her new book comes out super soon, so I'm really excited about that. Our second to last question is most beautiful cover that you have received so far this year. For me, in my opinion, that is this specific version of Funny Story. This is the Waterstones exclusive UK edition of Funny Story. It has sprayed edges, but I think this cover is just absolutely beautiful and the sprayed edges are stunning. I personally did not love this book. I think I gave it 3 or 3.5 stars. This is the brand new release by Emily Henry. Obviously, I explained to you how much I truly love Happy Place, but this one just fell a little short for me personally. I would still recommend it, but I just think this cover is stunning. And if you can get your hands on a UK edition of this book, I highly recommend, because it's just an absolutely beautiful cover, and I just love all the little Easter eggs that represent things that happen in the book. So this cover is definitely my favorite from this year so far. Our final question for this book tag is some books that you would like to have read by the end of the year. So I have 3. All of these I believe are on my 2024 TBR, like 24 books I want to read in 2024. So the first one is Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. This is supposed to be a billionaire romance, I believe. I've heard amazing things about it. The second one in this series comes out very soon. This is on Kindle Unlimited. I've actually not read a whole lot by Lauren Asher, but I've heard that this is like her best book ever, and a lot of people are absolutely obsessed with the story and the characters. So I'm very excited to eventually get into this. I've had it on my radar for a while. It's just a very thick romance, so I feel like I truly need to be in the mood for it because it's 500 pages. But I'm very excited to eventually get into this one. This next one I am like itching to read, and that is Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. They actually recently just announced the next book in this series, which I cannot wait. I love those movies so much. I've actually never read the books, but I've always loved the movies, and I really am excited to get into this. If you don't know what Hunger Games is, I swear you're probably living under a rock, and if you've never seen the movies, you absolutely have to because they're amazing. It's just a really cute dystopian romantasy series, and it is YA, so I've always wanted to read this, and this needs to be the year that I make it happen. Last but not least, we have Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. I would really like to read this whole series this year. I have read every other book in every other series by her so far this year, and one of my huge goals for the year was to read the entire Sarah J. Maas universe. So I'm really hoping to get into this. I believe this is more modern day fantasy, so a lot of people say it's probably one of her most confusing books to try and get into, but I'm very excited. I've heard really good things about this. A lot of people say it's like the least favorite of her series, but they still truly love it. The third one in the series actually came out at the beginning of this year, and I'm just kind of waiting and putting this off, but my goal is to read this series by the end of the year. It is very thick. Like, these books are huge. Literally, this book itself is like 800 pages, but I am really looking forward to finishing the Massiverse and just be ready for whenever she releases a new book, and I can just immediately pick it up no matter which of her series it comes from. So I'm really excited to get into this one as well. Alright guys, those are all of my books based on the mid-year book tag. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know any of your answers to any of these questions down below in the comments. Leave a boba, like the little boba coffee emoji in the comments if you made it all the way to the end of the video. I hope you're having an amazing day or night wherever you are, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I always have so much fun talking to you guys about some of my favorite books, and I cannot wait to see what else 2024 has in store for me as a reader, because I feel like I've had a very amazing reading year so far, and I can't wait to see what else comes out this year. So with all that being said, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my face. Check out all of my socials down below, including my Goodreads and my Amazon book wish list. I love you all to the moon and Saturn, and I will see you in my very next video. Bye, besties.